What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. I'm Dave, and this is Studio Motors. For those of you that are not subscribed to our channel, we drop very high quality content weekly, so please subscribe. We got some awesome stuff coming every single week. We're gonna keep this up for as long as you guys keep watching. For everybody that is subscribed, thank you for the likes, the comments, and all the feedback that we've been getting. Thank you very much, guys. We got a dope episode for you guys today. It's a car I'm super excited about. It's the Porsche GT4. We're gonna talk about why I think this car is an amazing sports car for $100,000. We always talk about naturally aspirated engines, lightweight, the driving experience. It's not just about the power, it's not just the numbers, it's all about how the car feels. I personally am building a BMW M Coupe from 2001 just so I can get that high revving, naturally aspirated, 6-cylinder engine feel in a lightweight vehicle that's very nimble and very sharp response and all of that. So I'm building that car for that reason. If you guys haven't seen our M Coupe, click the link here and you can check that out. Now, this car starts at $101,000. That's not little money, but in a world where everything's turning into turbos, turning into hybrids, and even electric cars, full-on electric sports cars, this is a gem. Now, what makes this one particularly special, this car is packing the brand new 4.0 liter inline six from Porsche. Now, that 4.0 inline six is not the same engine out of their prior GT cars like the GT3 and the GT4RS. This is a new 4.0. It's not as aggressive, it's not as powerful, but it's a great engine. Now, there's companies making smaller V12 engines than what this thing has. So 4.0 is a decent engine size, especially for a flat six, and you get a lot of mid-range power on this thing. You don't have to rev it all the way up top, even though it's so spectacular to rev it all the way up top, and that's why you buy this car. So it's a super exciting car. I love Porsche's GT vehicles, especially the lightweight, nimble ones, and I'm just grateful as an enthusiast that they continue to make naturally aspirated, manual transmission, nimble cars, and this is probably the pinnacle of that from Porsche at the moment. Now, one of the things you're going to notice about this car compared to the past GT4, besides the engine upgrade, is going to be all the aerodynamic upgrades on the car. The diffuser alone is supposed to be 50% more efficient than the prior version. And if you just take a glance at the vehicle's design itself, you'll notice that the front bumper is a lot more aggressive. The vents are a lot larger. It does ride low. You scrape the front lip quite a bit, but it's a plastic front lip and it's meant to be scraped. It's meant to be banged up. So don't feel bad about scraping it when you're driving it. I love how this car looks in general. I don't think it's over the top. I think it's just right. If you are looking for the driving experience in a vehicle, you really don't have to spend $100,000 more going for a GT3. Can this car give you the same experience a GT3 can? It cannot. It just can't. And this is coming from somebody that owned a GT3 for a couple of years, Lava Orange 991 GT3, and absolutely loved that thing. As good as this is, it is not a GT3, it's not a GT3 replacement, but it is 100 grand less, give or take, than a GT3. So it's a perfect medium for somebody that is willing to spend up to 100,000 for that perfect driving experience, that naturally aspirated characteristics in the engine, the high red line, and the 6-speed manual. Everything about this car wants me to call it a baby GT3. Even down to the design details, the wheels are the basic design of the GT3 wheels, but there's less depth to it. It's like a little bit flatter. It's like a less expensive version of the GT3 wheel. But again, it's really not fair to call the car a baby GT3 because the GT4 really holds its own and it's a completely different driving experience. What makes this car very different than the GT3? It's all about the engine placement. In my opinion, it's where the engine is and how it affects the dynamics of the vehicle and the suspension geometry and all of it. Placement of the engine being so down low, the center of gravity being so low. Because of the driver's seating position, this this thing really does feel like a go-kart. Now, why is that? It's all about the weight and how it's distributed. It's all about the suspension setup and how it transfers down to the road. But like the bigger, badder GT3, the car comes with optional carbon ceramic brakes. These carbon ceramic brakes run about 8 grand from Porsche, and they are an amazing set of brakes. Now, carbon ceramics, you always want to get heated before you do any hard driving with it, because that's when they bite. Now, a lot of people will tell you that carbon ceramics are for the racetrack. The thing is, a lot of people that actually track their cars a lot of race teams that race professionally do not run carbon ceramics. They run steel rotors on their cars. So carbon ceramic is something, maybe in a specific class of racing, it is the most efficient, the best way to go. On the road, on the high speeds, freeway, canyon driving, there is never ever a concern of overheating or heating up the brakes too much to where it affects the performance of the car. Carbon ceramics are great for the street. I do enjoy driving them on the street. They're not for everybody. They do squeal. You do want to get them heated up. It takes a little bit of extra attention to them, but they last forever. They bite like there's no tomorrow, and it's a very, very good brake to have on a car. So again, this is coming from an enthusiast standpoint. You could take them to track days, you could drive it on the street. It's well worth it, and I think the $8,000 price tag on these brakes is absolutely worth it to be a factory item and under warranty. And especially on this car that's so little, so light, you really feel the brakes do their job. And I feel like brakes always kind of have to be ahead of the performance of the car. There is a lot of action happening on the back end of this vehicle. A lot of the Porsche cars have that type of action happening. Now, the spoiler and stuff are not as crazy as the RS cars from Porsche, but it's still a pretty extreme spoiler on this thing. And because this is smaller and it's got a little bit more of a slant in the back and this like ducktail type of spoiler coming up this way, is really aggressive on it. And from any angle, from the side, from 3/4 view, whatever angle you look at this car, you could tell it wants to get down to business. It's a sports car. And there's one thing that you could always depend on Porsche. Even their shittiest car is a great driving car. Now, with that said, when you see a Porsche come out of the factory looking like this, it's gonna drive better than how it looks. And this car drives 10 times better than how it looks, and it looks phenomenal. So naturally aspirated 4.0 flat 6 engine. That engine puts out 414 horsepower, 317 pound-feet of torque, and pushes 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds. But this car is not a 0 to 60 car. For the same amount of money, you could get a much, much faster 0 to 60 car. Hey, you could get a Tesla Model 3 Performance for about 60K, and it's one of the fastest 0 to 60s on the road. But this is all about the driving experience. And does it give you a great driving experience or what? For $100,000, I don't know if there is a turnkey solution out there that's better than this as a driver's vehicle. A naturally aspirated engine, a high red line, a 6-speed gearbox, and in the low 3,000s for weight, it's about 3,100 pounds. What else do we have out there that's hitting these types of figures? And it's not a Miata, it's not the new Supra, it's not a 4-cylinder, it's not like, hey guys, we finally have a lightweight stick shift, but it's got a shitty 4-cylinder in it. No, it's a lightweight stick shift with a big 6-cylinder in it. It really is one of the most unique cars available to the enthusiasts today. And thank you to Porsche for constantly putting these cars out. Now, they're expensive as shit. There's no question about that. $100,000 is not chump change. But for the automotive enthusiast, to be able to even have that on the market is kind of crazy. We just did another day out in the canyons, and this car made me eat my words, okay? I said it is a good car, and it's no GT3, and that if you want that oomph of a GT3, you gotta go with the GT3, but I'm taking some of that back, okay? We just spent a couple days with the car, and we've been driving it for the most part, canyon roads, twisties, and man, this thing is so good. It's such a perfect driver's car. There's nothing excessive about it. There's nothing that you don't need. Still gives you everything you need in a daily driver. But man, does this thing come to life when you put it above about 4,500, 5,000 RPM. That mid-range too, between 3 and 6 is great. It's really nice how it pulls. And then 6 to 7 is a whole different game. The gears are long, I'll give you that. But in canyon driving, you can practically stay in second gear because it's so tall and have the time of your life. If you don't have or don't want to spend GT3 money or even GT4RS money, this is more than enough as a compromise that's $100,000 less. So you could buy this car because it's that good, or if you've always wanted those GT cars from Porsche, the GT3s, GT2s, and the cost was phenomenal, this entry-level GT4 entry level at 100 grand is incredible. It won't stop surprising me, won't stop shocking me of just how good it is. The steering feedback, the responsiveness, how you think it's not enough and you're about to slip, and all of a sudden you get on the throttle a little bit coming out of the apex and it just grips even harder and pulls you out. It's just that good. Porsche have really knocked it out of the ballpark. It's a very driver-oriented enthusiast vehicle. Let's look at the door handles on this car. The handles on it are ribbons. That's done to shave weight. Does that really make a massive difference? Not a massive difference, but it does make a difference. If anything, it gives the buyer, look, I'm making an effort to be as light as possible. You're buying a road car that you could take to the racetrack. You're not buying a race car. If you were buying a race car, I'd expect roll-up windows on these things, or no windows actually, it wouldn't have windows. So people are spending $100,000 plus on a car. Of course, some things are still going to be there. You're gonna have your Alcantara and leather finishes. You're gonna have extremely nice stitching. You're gonna have all the interfaces, touchscreen, and all of that. They're not taking any of that experience away from you as a driver to give you a sporty car, but they are taking things like your door handle away from you. Now, do you miss out on anything? No, you absolutely don't. If anything, it's cooler. I think it looks awesome. It's not usual. It's a conversation piece. The seats on this thing, these are the carbon bucket seats, and I had kind of a love-hate relationship with these seats. When you are in traffic and you're just bumper to bumper, these seats do not recline at all. You are permanently in a driving position, in a all-out driving position, as if your life depends on it and you better be paying attention. So that's how the seat's positioned. The back does not tilt backwards. What the seat will allow you to do is go up and down, and it will let you go manually front and back. They are magnificent seats. They have amazing grip. The bolsters on the sides, you are completely cradled. It really adds to the driving experience of the vehicle. It really adds to how the road feels and the feedback you get from the vehicle. Steering wheel, no buttons, no rollers, no thingies, no lights, no volume up down, no Siri button to make a call, absolutely nothing. And it looks very industrial and automotive and motorsporty. It's perfect. It communicates the idea that this is for driving. Go drive it and have a good time. That's what you bought it for. There is no sport mode in the car. It's permanently in sport mode. It's a GT car. It's not one of those cars where it's gonna give you a button that's a sport mode and all it's gonna do is make your throttle more responsive and, you know, call it a sport mode. That's for the other guys that don't have all this racing heritage. Most of it is performance stuff. ESC off, ESC plus traction control off. If you want to really let loose with the car. But it's got a lot of technology in the suspension. It's got a lot of technology even in the ABS system. There's a ton going on behind the scenes that really help the driving experience. But with the rest of the Porsche cars, along with the rest of them, none of it feels intrusive. None of it feels like the car is doing the driving for you, which is a complaint you hear about cars that are over assisted. Leather up top, Alcantara down low, amazing looking seats. The shifter on this thing is so kick-ass. It is so good. The clutch is so good. The way it shifts, where it engages, how it engages, it's absolutely one of the best I've driven. And it's thoroughly, thoroughly fun. It's such a good combination of everything. It's not just a great engine and the rest is built around that. It's a great everything, and it all ties together, speaks together so well, so fluidly.
I don't know what to ask for out of this car. What more can we ask for out of this car? And there's nothing. It's just perfect. We highly recommend the GT4, and we really had a great time making this video. Thank you guys for watching. Studio Motors, Dave, we are out.